Welcome to Monday Night Live, the weekly training that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and start building your wealth.
So let's go ahead and let Jordan kick us off here. Jordan, if you want to, feel free. If you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, that'd be great. I don't. The reason I don't do introductions for other people is I found out you do a much better job at it than I do. You know, instead of me reading from a script, I want people to hear from you and get to know you a little bit. And then feel free to share your screen and go right into the subject. Sound good? Of
Absolutely. Can I ask you a few questions before we get started, Gary?
course.
So, Gary, first of all, I just want to let you know we didn't talk about this in advance. I've got a hard stop in 1 hour, a little less than 1 hour,
Yep.
and I just want to let you know that. But before we get started, the group here that we've got, are these? What's your association with this group? Are they part of BNI? Are they just part of an association that you started? Give me a sense of who I'm talking to.
A lot of the folks on are members of the Global Investor Agent Team. So it's a team of agents that we train to work with investors all over the US. We're in 38 states, and we do have other people, other agents, sometimes investors too, but other agents from other brokerages. People I've known from the past, teaching them as students. Tatiana's a perfect example. She saw me teach in Massachusetts many years ago in a beautiful little town called Worcester. You have to, I know it looks like it says Worcester, but it's actually
Yes.
Worcester. Yeah, all the Massachusettsans are laughing because they know I know how to say it. And the Leominster, it's another one up there. But in any case, that's the group. So the real benefit is when you have a group like this, it's not necessarily they're the ones you're speaking to, but think in terms of who they know, and their sphere, the people that they're serving, buying and selling homes and investment properties.
Gotcha. Okay, good. And they're all over the United States, or are they all over I know Georgia's in Australia. Are they all over the world?
Mostly United States, although we do get occasionally some folks on from Canada. We've had people on and from Australia, mostly English speaking countries, but also, I've had personal clients in probably 13 different countries, Germany, France, um, Indonesia, India, um, pretty South America, several South American countries, Chile, Argentina, Colombia, Brazil,
All right.
Mexico.
So, and I'm going to be introducing myself pretty extensively in my presentation. So if you
Okay.
don't, are you able to activate the ability for me to share my screen?
Yeah, you should be able to now as a co-host. Let me just make sure you're actually are a co-host. Uh,
I just sent a request.
oh, that'll work. Okay, so I just approved that. Yeah.
There we go. That works. Okay, good. So, oh, it's not allowing
Okay.
me to share sound. That's interesting. It's not allowing me to activate the sound. Hopefully it'll
Um,
work. If not, I'll have to skip those slides, which is fine.
you know what? Actually, I just made you co-host. If you want to start from there, because that should give you ability to optimize for sound and video when you share.
Yeah, it's still not.
Really?
Unless let me. Yeah, no, it's still not. I
Yeah, let me
apologize,
make.
everybody. I appreciate your patience.
And that's okay. I'm going to just make sure that you are actually a co-host. Where is Jordan? There we are. Let's double check this. Yeah, it says you're a co-host. Okay, but that's weird. You're
Yeah,
getting some kind of
it's
message.
great. It's grayed out. The ability to share sound is grayed out, but that's okay. If I need to skip those slides, I will. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen,
Yeah. Okay.
and we'll just go from there. Can you see it, Gary?
Yes, looks good too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Good. 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 Hi, everybody. My name's Jordan Adler. My connection is through George McIntosh, who's down under. And you might know George, you may not, I don't know, but we've got a business association together. We've been working together for a number of years, and he's a great friend, and he's a surfer, and I love the guy, and we just don't see each other enough because we're so far apart. But I want to talk about be the hub and not the hustle. I am going to talk about my experience with BNI and how I got involved with BNI, but that's not the main part of my presentation. It's really more about the power of relationships and the power of leverage in building relationships and how that can turn into significant business for you. I'm going to talk a little bit about my background, but just to give you a higher level, I'm in the mountains of Arizona in an old ghost town. I've been here for 26 years. It's a place called Jerome, Arizona, probably the most famous ghost town in the United States. It's a little tourist town, bustling tourist town now. But in the early 1900s, late 1800s, it was a mining town, and we mined copper, gold, and silver here. And I also live in Las Vegas, and I commute between Las Vegas and the mountains of Arizona. I grew up in the south suburbs of Chicago, and I had no entrepreneurial background growing up. In fact, I graduated from college with a degree in landscape architecture and moved to Arizona because I knew one person, and I had a guitar, a suitcase, and $250 to my name. And it was a struggle for many years. I was entrepreneurial. I was wired as an entrepreneur, but I didn't even really know what that meant. In other words, my parents weren't entrepreneurs. The people in our neighborhood weren't entrepreneurs, but I was, for whatever reason. And I started reading and going to seminars and signing up in different network marketing opportunities, started my own business. And over 10 years, 11 different network marketing companies, I never made a penny. And I'm going to share a little more of the story with you as we kind of get into this. But this was my fast start. So when I was 34 years old, this was in Tempe, Arizona, on the Arizona State University campus. I was 34. I had been, the most my job had ever paid me in my life was $28,000 a year. At the age of 34, I was making $14,000 a year, and I was living in that little garage on the left side of the house there. And my rent was $200 a month. And I worked at America West Airlines, which was walking distance. And I had a broken down vehicle that I couldn't afford to fix. And had $36,000 in credit card debt, broken down Jeep. And my job at that time, the airline had filed bankruptcy. I was working for an airline, got out of landscape architecture, got into the airline industry, was there for 13 years. It was a really exciting, fun experience, but never made much money. And I found myself in a situation at the age of 34 where I didn't know what direction my career was going to go. And the reason there's a coffee plantation there is because I joined my 12th network marketing company. I'm going to get into some specifics here in a minute, but I joined my 12th network marketing company in 1996, after having never made a penny in any company. It was a telecom network marketing company. And I started meeting with people at that coffee plantation, which was right downstairs from my office at the airline. And I started giving presentations 3 days a week on lunch, just one person at a time. And it took 3 years for me to get to where I was making about $2,000 or $3,000 a month. And then over the next few months, my income skyrocketed, and I ended up making millions of dollars with that company. I got out of the little garage, and I ended up, I was traveling the world. I had some nice places. I was, driving nice cars, all that kind of stuff. So that's my story. It's very unusual. It's not a typical story, but I was in corporate America for 17 years. So this guy, probably the first picture that we took together, one of the first pictures we took together is on the bottom left. I met him at a networking event when I was 22 years old. And I just joined the company that I've been with for now 22 years as an independent distributor, the one that I met George. And I met this guy at a networking event. He was introduced to me by a contractor, an old guy, a real old guy. And we became instant friends. We got together and we went to lunch. And I found out that he was the son of the CEO of BNI, Business Network International. Now, I didn't know what BNI was, but he encouraged me to find a chapter, and I joined a chapter of BNI, which had 12 members. Now, at the time, there were 4,000 chapters in the United States. Today, there's about 7,000 chapters in the US, maybe 8,000. But there were about 4,000 at the time, and I joined one of the smallest, if not the smallest chapter in the United States. And I was, at this time, after the telecom that I was with for 13 years, that went away. At the time, I was earning $80,000 a month in passive income as a result of my association with that company. That company went away because the entire telecom industry went digital. And we owned hundreds of millions of dollars in mechanical analog switches all over the world. And when that company went away, I was faced with, what do I do next? I had lots of savings. I had lots of real estate with equity, but I was bleeding by about over $20,000 a month when my cash flow went away. And I joined a company that I've been with now for 22 years called Promptings, Send Out Cards at the time. Today it's called Promptings, powered by Send Out Cards. I had just signed up in that company. and I met this guy, and he said I should get involved in BNI. So I go there, visit a couple of times, join the chapter, start giving my little 30-second commercial. A couple people are interested in what I'm doing. And then every week I would go, and then I joined, and every week I would go. They said there are 4,000 chapters across the United States. And I thought, what if I were to promote BNI within my business? So if I were to make BNI part of my model, so I started promoting BNI among, I have a very, 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 very small team at that time, but the team started to grow. And over the course of the next year, I had put 250 members into BNI across the United States. And I became, that was the most number in their 35-year history. That was the most number of people that had ever been put in BNI by one company. And that got the attention of the founder of BNI, Dr. Ivan Meisner. So he ended up meeting our founder. One thing led to the next. And we were in hundreds and hundreds of chapters around the world. And the reason I did it was because, first of all, there's meetings already going on. There's no meeting space that needs to be acquired. If the meetings are already happening, I could just promote it and get people there, and they would learn how to network. They would meet new people every single week. There would be opportunities for them to learn how to present and give, most people are afraid of public speaking. All those things are included. And so I just promoted it like crazy. And this is the result of it. I've personally now been a member for, actually, it's now close to 21 years. I've been a member of BNI. I promote it weekly on our team trainings. And in the first year I mentioned, I put 250 members into BNI chapters. Revenue to our company, $280 million as a result of one connection. Now, there's a message in this that goes far beyond just BNI. This was one person that I met, Nate Dominguez. I then met his new wife. He didn't have any kids at the time. Today, I'm Uncle Jordan to their 3 kids. The reason this is important is because in networking, and many of you are already very successful networkers, and some of you have done very, very well in business, and I know that. But the reason this is important is to understand that typically success in any business comes as a result of meeting the right person at the right time. I met Nate Dominguez at exactly the perfect time, and I built that relationship with him. We became best friends. He's one of my best friends. My personal income from one relationship, my BNI relationship, $7 million, one person. Now, that's just one of many, and I want to go over some networking fundamentals. So first of all, you want to always focus on whether you're involved with Chamber of Commerce, Meetup, what's the other, George, what's the other online, I can't think of it right now. BNI, there's many other networking groups. Alignable, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Yep. So thank you, Corinne. So focus on giving, not getting. So always, when you focus on getting, success seems to move away from you. When you focus on looking for ways that you can serve, always, most networkers are all about what can I do to get more business versus what can I do to give more to other people. And so we'll be talking about that throughout the presentation. Always be interested in them, learn to ask questions and really listen, and spend most of the time listening versus talking. And I have found that the greatest relationships have come as a result of just asking questions and listening. The magic happens in the one-to-one. So I see people join BNI or any other networking group, and they're there for a few weeks, and they don't get any business the first few weeks, and they go, they're given their little 30-second presentation, and they get discouraged. And a lot of times they disappear or quit. The magic happens in the one-to-ones. The magic happens in the individual meetings, Zoom meetings, coffee shop meetings, lunch meetings that you have with the members, where they get to know you and you get to know them, and you can really trust each other and feel comfortable referring business to them. So you may end up, for every 10 one-to-ones you do, you may only exchange business with one of them, but it's important for everybody to get to know everybody. and that builds synergy in the group. I'm a member of a 75 member group that I started, and I'm actually the only person in the United States that I know of, and I don't think we haven't ever found anybody else that does this. I actually started this chapter meeting with Nate. It took him 3 years to talk me into it, because it would mean that I would be flying from Vegas to Phoenix every week for my weekly meeting. And I didn't want to do that. Well, he talked me into starting this chapter. I committed to it. And it's now been 7 years. And for 7 years, every single week, I'm on an airplane at 6 a.m. to get to Phoenix. I do my meeting. I do some one-to-ones. Sometimes we go and smoke cigars with some friends in the afternoon. And then that evening, I'm on a flight going back to Vegas. And there's a reason I do that. It's because that group is my sales team. Those people are the most powerful. It's the most powerful aspect of my business for building new business. And we'll get into that in a little more detail. You want to learn to network the network. So for example, if there are 50 people in your group, for example, each one of those people, if they're business people, they each have strong relationships with at least 1,000 people. If they're not in business, it's probably in the range of 250 people. But if they're in business, they probably have a network of 1,000 people that they're really intimately connected to in and outside of business. And if I can become close with those individuals, and if I look for ways that I can make their life better, then they're more likely to refer people to me. And so that's the most powerful opportunity that I have on a weekly basis. My Wednesday is the most valuable day of the week for me, because I'm meeting in a structured way with 75 people that are all there to bring me business, and I'm there to bring them business. So you always want to look to network the network. You want to be the hub. I don't need to go too much into that right now, because we'll be going a little deeper on it here in a few minutes. You want to build trust with others and be solid, not a hot mess. In every group of, if you look at your network, there's certain people that you know that you are friends with them, you're connected to them, maybe you do business with them, maybe you don't, but you don't feel real comfortable referring people to them because their life is a train wreck. You want to refer business, but you don't feel comfortable with it because you don't want to open your community to them. So you want to be solid. And what that means is, have integrity, be true to your word. If you're going to have to change an appointment, make sure and let them know that, you're not going to be able to make it and why, and, work to reschedule or whatever, but be true to your word. And then I love this question, especially with, any group of people, is always ask, who do I need to meet? You know me a little bit, and ask the members of the chapter, who in this group do I need to meet? And then get an introduction, and then schedule a Zoom or a one-to-one or a coffee date or a lunch, and really get to know them. Ask them lots of questions about their business. Let them know that your intention is to look for ways that you can help them grow their business. And in doing that, it will grow your business, because what you send out comes back to you. You can count the acorns in a tree, but you can't count the trees in an acorn. And I live by this. So when I meet somebody, that's just one meeting. My intention is to be, if I like them, my intention is to become friends and not to get anything from them. And sometimes that turns into business, and sometimes it doesn't. And once in a while, you meet the right person at the right time that just takes things to a whole new level. So we live in the age of digital marketing, and digital marketing is actually, we lived and we still do live to some extent in the age of digital marketing. That's list building and email blasts and funnels and landing pages and buying leads. And those are all really important. All those things are real important in building a business, but people are so overwhelmed today, especially with the advent of AI and social media. People are just getting bombarded with information at a level that's probably 1,000 times what we were getting, say, 25 years ago. with Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Today we've got influencer marketing, building a following. We're all glued to our devices, and what that leads to is disconnection and overwhelm. So all this stuff that's meant to connect us has actually not only divided us, but created a almost like a numbness or an apathy or a resignment that, it's just like when you go to your emails and you look at your emails, there are hundreds and hundreds you're getting a day, and they're an annoyance, and your only job is to find the 5 or 10 that are important. And all the other ones are just, it's like you can't even manage the volume of information that we're getting on a daily basis. So how do you stand out and get noticed in a world like this? We have our noses buried in our phone. How can you stand out and get noticed? What do people crave?
Connection.
People crave to be appreciated.
Mhm.
People crave to be noticed. They crave to be seen. They crave to be accepted. They don't crave more marketing, but yet we're all out there marketing. That's what we're doing. We're marketing our business, but people don't want that. They're done with it. They're overwhelmed by it. So, and marketing is important. You got to market, but you got to ask yourself, what do people really want? They want to feel important. People don't crave more marketing. We're moving into the age of gratitude. And if you can, in your own way, convey to other people that they're important to you and that you appreciate them, and that they're seen, you're going to be light years ahead of everybody else out there. And there's so many examples of this in business. I'll cover a couple of them today so you can really see. I'll share one right now. I've got my biggest customer. I've got I override about 1 million customers, close to 1 million customers. And I've got about 700 personal customers that I actually, over the course of 22 years, went out and got myself. My biggest customer is a roofing company, but let me tell you how it happened. Remember, you can't count the acorns in a seed. You can count the acorns in a tree, but you can't count the trees in the acorn. So I meet this couple who have 4 kids that live in Connecticut 18 years ago. And they sign up for our service just to be able to send out birthday cards, thank you cards, get well cards, and holiday cards. We have a service where you can send cards in the mail from an app on your phone or the computer, but they go in the mail. You click the send button and it's post office next morning. They signed up with us 18 years ago just to use the service, not to build a business. They didn't sign up as a consultant. Well, 11 years ago, their kids are now older. They decide to start a roofing company. And they decided they're not going to do what all the other roofers do. All the other roofers are doing Facebook ads. They're doing billboards. And they're like, we're not doing none of that. That's all we're going to do is make sure that each one of our new roofs that get put on or a roof repair, every one of those new customers gets 3 cards a year from us every year, 2 gratitude cards and a holiday card. So it's going to cost them $6 a year per customer, per roofing customer, every year, $6. And that's all they're going to do. Well, over the last 11 years doing that, they've created a referral machine where they are now sending out $160,000 worth of cards to their roofing customers every year. And that pays me a really fat commission check. And that's a result of them understanding the power of gratitude. They thank their customers twice a year, and they send a holiday card once a year, and it has a picture of their team on it. And their customers feel that. They feel that gratitude. Lisa and Michael view us as a customer as important. They appreciate the business that we do with them. They don't ask for anything in the cards. They're not asking for referrals, but they have their brand on the back of the card. So that one customer, again, you can't count the trees in an acorn. That one customer from this meeting from 18 years ago. The law of reciprocity. When somebody does something nice for us, we have a deep-rooted psychological urge to do something nice in return. So I've had the I've been blessed to know some billionaires through my networking and people that have introduced me to people and things like that. I've been to 4 billionaires' homes, and all 4 of them, when I showed up, sometimes it was just me with a couple other people, sometimes it was in a small group. Every single one of the billionaires, they had a gift for me and for everybody else that was visiting them at their home. And that made an impression. It's like, why do they give a gift? They're not trying to get anything from us. There's nothing that I could give the billionaire that billionaire needs, right? They're not trying to get anything, but they understand the power of giving. It's an energy. So when we make people feel important and remembered, they're more likely to want to do business with us and tell others about us. It's just the right thing to do. So I got invited. I'm a cigar smoker. I love my cigars. And I got invited to a billionaire's home in Houston. And this guy invented a lock that supposedly is the most secure home lock ever invented. And he sold millions of them and became a billionaire. His home is spectacular in Houston. And I have a friend that's a good friend of his. And I was in Houston and he invited me to go over. Well, I knew this guy was a cigar smoker, and I knew, and there were 20 people with us. Well, I wasn't the only guest. There were 20. And the guy had a cigar lounge. I didn't know it at the time, but the guy had a cigar lounge in his home. And so what did I do? I thought, you know what? I got to bring him a gift. So I brought him 3 very, very expensive, nice cigars. And he talked about me in front of the group over and over again. Like, you can't pay for that kind of publicity. So that it's just so important, and most people miss that. So Harvey Mackay, in his book Swim with the Sharks Without Getting Eaten Alive, many of you probably read it. He wrote, you can predict the future of someone's income by looking at the size of his or her Rolodex. So what did I learn from that? First of all, when I was in my 20s, I went out and bought a Rolodex, and I'd get people's business cards, and I'd handwrite notes, and I'd make sure I stayed in touch with them. We weren't texting back then. Heck, I think the first time I got an Rolodex, I don't even believe we were emailing back then. But I did my best to stay in touch, and I got to understand the power of the network, the power of meeting new people and adding them to my network, and then doing everything within my power to make sure that they know that they are important to me. And that was one thing that I learned. And the other is Joe Girard. If you haven't heard of Joe, it's a great story. He wrote a book called How to Sell Anything to Anybody, and it became a bestseller. He doesn't have a high school degree, and he didn't have his book edited, and he writes like someone that doesn't have a high school degree, that's never taken, English or anything like that. But it's a really great book. And so Joe is a car salesman, and in Detroit, and he worked out of a little car dealership. And Joe ended up in the Guinness Book of World Records, I think 8 years in a row. And he sold more individual cars than any man in history. In fact, to this day, nobody has broken his record. It was something like 16,000 cars or something like that, all by referral. Every day Joe would go into work, there would be a line of people outside his dealership. Even in the winter, when it was sub-zero temperatures, there would be people waiting outside for the doors to unlock to come in and buy a car from Joe. And they weren't coming there to be sold. They were coming to buy. Joe had to hire a whole team of people just to manage the customers, the referrals that were coming to him. What did he do? He made sure people felt important. Every single person he met, he would write a handwritten note. And he'd say, thanks for stopping in. It was really nice to meet you. But when you met Joe, you didn't just get one note from him. You got a handwritten note in the mail every single month for as long as he knew you. Whether he met you, whether you bought a car from him, whether he bought a car from you, you would receive a card every month. And it got to the point where he was sending out tens of thousands of cards every month. And he had to hire a whole team of people to do nothing but handwrite his notes. And his cards were short. They were just like, come in and see me, I miss you. Or Happy Valentine's Day. Or thinking of you, signed Joe. Stuff like that. But everyone knew Joe. So if you make yourself like Joe, where in your industry, there's a lot of people doing what you do. But what set Joe apart was that people knew that he cared. People knew that they could trust him. People knew that he was going to give them a good deal. And they remembered him. Anytime somebody in their family needed to buy a car or sell a car, you got to call Joe. And Joe inspired me. And that's what I set out to do in my network marketing business. I wanted to build relationships that were so powerful that when anybody was looking for an opportunity, they would come to me. I became the hub. That's what I set out to do. And the way you do that is by making other people feel important. Joe's rule of 250, by the way, is everybody knows at least 250 people, everybody, that would be invited to their wedding or that would go to their funeral, as long as it's not raining. As long as it's not raining. So that was Joe's rule of 250, and he understood that rule. So those are two things I learned from Joe. This is our BNI chapter meeting when it was in its early stages. This is probably around 50 people. We've got over 75 now, but each one of those people are my sales team. They're there to bring me business, and I'm there to bring them business. That's what we do. It's my most valuable asset. And that's why it's worth it for me to spend a couple grand a month to get on an airplane every single week and go there. In fact, today is Monday. On Wednesday morning, I'll be in Vegas flying to Phoenix for my meeting. So I used to do this exercise using business cards, and it works just as effectively talking about it as in the form of contacts, because I still carry business cards. I think they're a powerful tool. And a lot of people in networking groups do. And I think it's still an important thing to do. I don't think the electronic business card has as much power as a physical card, but to each his own. And I'm not of that generation that just doesn't carry cards and uses only digital. So, however, let's say you were just to randomly make 100 business contacts, and they wouldn't even necessarily need to be business contacts, but 100 contacts. Even if you did nothing special, probably 3 of them would become your customer over time. Just if you did nothing special, just because 3 out of 100 will probably do business with you. And let's just value a connection without any interaction, just a connection. I meet Tatiana and we just met. We're going to value that as a nickel. All right. But I'm going to show you how you can turn that into $100, $500, how you can turn any connection into $1,000, $2,000, $10,000. If that's all you did was send each of those 100 a nice to meet you note in the mail, you're probably going to get 2 more of those 100 to do business with you or refer somebody to you. That's going to be another 20. Well, let's forget about the number at the back. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Nice to meet you note, another 2. If you place a call to each one of them in today's world, people don't pick up their phones. So when you call, you're pretty likely going to get a voicemail. So if you place a call and just leave a voicemail and just say, hey, it was so nice to meet you. I hope our paths cross again soon. Let's set up another coffee date in a few months. It was really great to get to know you and learn a little bit about your business. Just a call and a voicemail. If you send a gift, probably 4 additional. So now if you do nice to meet you call, place a call, send a gift, you're looking at 8 additional sales out of the 100. If you remember their birthday, probably another 4, especially if you send a gift. If you set a personal meeting or a coffee, another 3, and refer business 5. So out of those 100, we could probably, and everybody's business is a little different, but probably 20. So let's say the lifetime value of a customer is $10,000. And everybody's different. Some people, the lifetime value, what's the lifetime value? That means that you get a customer and they do business with you again and again and again, or they refer people to you. Most people that are in business, $10,000 is a pretty average number. In some, in financial planning, it could be much more than that. If you're in real estate and you're raising money to do projects, it could be much more than that. But let's just say that those additional 17 customers at 10,000 each, that's 170,000 in additional sales. And so total, it's about 200,000 in sales. And so if you take 200,000 and divide that by 100, that's $2,000 per contact. So that means every person you met, whether they did business with you or not, is worth $2,000 if the lifetime value of one of your customers is $10,000. So for me, the lifetime value of a customer isn't 10,000, but the lifetime value of a consultant for me on average is significantly more than $10,000 in income. So you just have to work those numbers for yourself. But the way I look at it is when I meet somebody, I don't look at them as a dollar sign ever. But I do know that when I meet somebody new, whether they do business with me or not, it's worth thousands of dollars. I know that. Whether they do business with me or not, doesn't matter. Because I know that every person I meet, there's going to be one out of a certain number that I meet that are going to change their world and change my world. There was a guy talking, this was many years ago, 15 years ago. There was a guy talking negatively about me on the internet. This used to be an internet marketing strategy, and it's still done today, but it's done in a little different way today than it was back then. Back then, there were very few people doing this. Today, it's so contentious on the internet. Everybody's talking bad about everybody, and it's all over social media. If you're in TikTok or Instagram or any of that, you see it. Whenever somebody posts something controversial just to trigger people, the next thing you know, you have hundreds or thousands of comments and everybody's fighting with each other. You've all seen that over whatever, right? Pick something, whatever it is, they're going to fight about it. Well, somebody was talking negatively about me on the internet, and I wasn't happy about it. And I went to an attorney friend. He said, for $250, we'll certify a letter, we'll threaten him, and he'll take it down. He wasn't saying anything bad about me because he didn't know me, but he was saying things like, I don't know who this guy Jordan Adler is, but if I were you, I'd stay far away from him. And he knew nothing about me. And so I slept on it, talked to a friend, and he said, why don't you just send the guy a card with the Starbucks card, like in the mail? So I got his address. His P.O. box was online, and I sent him a card. That was the card I sent with coffee on the front. And inside the card, I sent something along the lines of, Jason, his name was Jason Isaacson. Jason, I'm not so happy about what you're doing, but I would love to get together with you, buy you coffee, and kick some business ideas around. And I sent him that with the card, with the Starbucks card. And about 2 weeks later, I go to his website, and he had removed the negative comments from his website. And he posted these pictures on his website. And he said underneath them, Jordan Adler is the smartest marketer I've ever met. Well, it didn't end there, because Jason ended up joining our company and becoming our top recruiter and made me $50,000 over the course of time. If you are interested, I'm not going to get into a sales pitch on this, but if you're interested in this kind of a system where you can send cards like this, you can scan that QR code and it'll give you more information about it. I use these cards. It's called send out cards. I use these cards to build relationships with customers. So this is the home I'm in right now up in the mountains of Arizona. It's the old mining town that I told you about. This is downstairs. It's a 4-level home and it's on the bottom floor. It's not a big home. Every floor is about this size, but it's very interesting and unique. And what happened was, I got to look at the time here real quick. What happened was, I don't know if George, I'm pretty sure George knows this story. I came home one time because I travel a lot. I mean, I'm gone 2 weeks of the, I'm gone 2/3 of the month, and I'm up here probably 1/3 of the month. And I come home and there's a beer can, a Budweiser beer can on my pool table. And I don't drink Bud. And and I hadn't had any parties or anything like that. And I looked around the whole house and there was no other signs of anything, just this beer can, random beer can on my pool table. So I throw it away and didn't think too much of it. It was a little weird. Didn't think too much of it. Left, came back a few weeks later, and I noticed there was a door inside the house that was deadbolted from the 3rd floor, deadbolted from the inside. And I never, since I lived in the house, never used that deadbolt. I had to hire a locksmith to get into the bedroom, and I get in there and there's nothing. Everything's normal. But this goes on for 4 months, where doors are open, windows are open, like stuff's moved, and I can't figure out how this is all happening. It is a ghost town. And then one day I came home and I noticed a footprint, a boot print on a dresser right below a air conditioner that I had in the window, and a place of the house that I just didn't go very often. And it would require two people to remove the air conditioner, climb in, put the air conditioner back in place. There was somebody was using my home when I was traveling. They knew that I traveled because they probably lived up in town. There's only 500 people here in this town. They would never move anything. Like they'd never even steal the change off the dressers. But for the first time in my life, I needed a security alarm system. And I had probably met 25 security alarm system people in my life. We didn't have one in our chapter. And I'd met many that probably handed me their card and I threw it in a box or threw it away. I'd met a lot of people that did security alarms, but I ended up going online and finding one. And for the past, I don't know, probably 18 years now, I've been sending a check to a company, same company for the past 18 years to cover my security alarm. That could have been going to an individual that had just stayed in touch with me in a meaningful way. Just check in once a year with a phone call. Say, hey, I'm thinking about you. If whether you need a security alarm system or not, I just want to stay in touch with you. Stay in touch in a meaningful way. There's that QR code again if you need it. You can scan it. I'll leave it up there for just a second. It'll give you more details about ways that you can do that. There's some 6-minute videos on there you can watch. All right. I am going to have to skip this story, I think. Let me see. Well, yeah, I'm going to skip this story. Plus, I'm not sure if I got time. All right. So I'm going to kind of wrap up with these, with a few more slides. Width is sales, and width is income, and depth is security. Width is income, and depth is security. I have a degree in landscape architecture. And one of the things we learned about plants is that eucalyptus trees grow very rapidly. That's the one where if you crunch up the leaf, it smells like Vicks Vapor Rub. Eucalyptus trees grow very rapidly and they turn a place green really fast, but they die young. Things that grow fast are very brittle and they have a shallow root system and they die young. That would be the example. That would be the example of width. Width is making lots of sales, and you need sales for income, and that's important, but it doesn't build security. For example, I'll give you an example of security. Security would be the realtor that builds a referral machine that can go on that hires a team that can go on vacation, and while they're on vacation, their team is getting everything in place for homes to sell. They don't need to go out and prospect. They don't need to go out and get sales because they set up a referral machine. That's depth. So you want to have both. You want to find that balance between width and depth. An oak tree, on the other hand, has a very deep root system. It's very solid and it grows very slowly and it lives forever. That's security. Deep root system, solid, slower growth, but very stable, lives a long time. You have to find that balance. Now, the story I was going to tell you was about this guy named Rodriguez. And Rodriguez, oh gosh, it's such a good story. I'll tell you a summary of the story. I was going to show you a video. If you want to really be entertained and and watch a really great movie, it's a documentary called Searching for Sugar Man. It's about this guy, this Mexican guy from Detroit that in the 60s would go bar to bar to bar with his guitar. He wore black boots, a black hat, a black long coat. He'd go into the bar. He wouldn't talk to anybody. He'd sit over in the corner in the dark shadows of the bar and play his music, get a few tips, wouldn't even talk to people. He would just go in, get some tips and then leave and then go to the next bar, get some tips and then leave. That's width. That's width. That's income. Mm-hmm. And he did that. And then he made a record, and he only made 6 copies of the record. And he gave it to his friends, the record to his friends. And then he disappeared. And for the next 20 plus years, the people in the bars in Detroit used to talk about this old guy named Rodriguez, young guy named Rodriguez. They used to go into the bars and just play, and he was so good, but nobody knew who he was. Nobody ever knew him. They just would see him and he'd play his music and leave, but they remembered him because his music was so good. Well, almost 30 years later, 28 years later, there was an uprising of music in South Africa during apartheid. And it was Rodriguez's music in South Africa. millions and millions and millions of people were buying Rodriguez's album in South Africa. And there was a guy in South Africa, this is before the internet, guy in South Africa that decided that he was going to go searching for Sugar Man. Now, Sugar Man was the name of one of this guy's songs. They didn't know if he was from one of the, Latin American countries. They didn't know if he was from somewhere in Europe. They didn't know if he was in the United States. They had no idea. He started traveling around the world. He spent 4 years going from city to city to city, going into record shops and asking questions to try and track down, who is this guy Rodriguez? They turned him into a deity. Like he was like mythological to people down there. They were so inspired by his music. No one even believed he was real. And they find him living in the projects in Detroit on welfare. And they told him, Rodriguez, you're famous. He's like, what? Now he's in his 70s. We want to fly you on a private jet, you and your family, to South Africa to do a concert. His first concert had 50,000 people at it. 50,000. That's depth. He never made any money on any of the millions of songs he sold, because he didn't sell them. Somebody else did. It was all pirated. But he ended up doing 5 concerts in South Africa, sold out every one. And then in his late 70s, he started to go on a tour. And he toured the world and made millions and millions of dollars until he passed away in his 80s.
And Jordan, just to interrupt, I grew up in South Africa, and then I saw him here in Sydney in Australia about 5 or 6, 7 years ago as a very old man, but it was quite emotional. Thank you.
So the South Africans, like George is South African. The South Africans, I don't know if you noticed that, but he got a little emotional. This music was moving. It was emotional to the people in South Africa. It was part of a movement. That's depth. And you can create that in your business. You can create that by building those strong relationships. The last thing I'm going to talk about briefly, and it is related to networking very much so. I wrote a book called Beach Money, sold over 1 million copies. And this was almost like, I can't say it was by accident, but it definitely was not strategic. It was just like the right thing to do, the way that I have been trained and like what I do. So I figured that when I published the book, what I would do is I would give the book away to people that I know that had big networks. So I'm part of a company called Send Out Cards at the time. And I still am, but that's our technology. That's 250,000 people that are connected to that company. I got my book into the gifting program. BNI, 100,000 people probably that I was connected to through all those chapters. I made sure that my book was out in BNI, made sure I got it out to the right people for free. Jeff Welch, she's a friend who has a network of about 250,000. Eric Worre, 1.5 million. Donna Johnson, the #1 earner in Arbonne, 1 million people. These are all close friends of mine, relationships that I built over the years. And I made sure each one of these people got a stack of books that were signed, because I knew that if they liked the book, they would promote it. The ANMP is the Association of Network Marketing Professionals. I was at a meeting with about 1,000 people in Dallas, Texas, for the Association of Network Marketing Professionals. There were 80 speakers, 80 over 4 days. I was one of the speakers, and I had 20 minutes. All the other speakers that had books, they were selling their books in the back of the room. I decided I'm not going to sell my books. This is a group that's connected to millions of people. I'm going to give 1,000 books away at that meeting. So I gave 1,000 signed books to 1,000 people in that meeting, and it cost me about $3,000. Most of the other speakers wouldn't do that. I did that. What was the result? I sold 1 million copies of my book. And to this day, and 100% of the profits go to an organization called Kiva. They're the largest micro-lending organization in the world. They fund loans to people that want to start businesses in developing countries. And those people start their businesses, and then they pay the money back, and then we reloan it back out. We've helped tens of thousands of businesses start all over the world as a result of this book. But what I do is I look for ways to get the book in the hands of people that had teams of people that they would tell about it if they liked it. So I hope you got something. I mean, there was something for everybody here. I could keep going, but we covered a lot of ground in a very short period of time.
Hi, I just want to take a moment to thank you for watching a recording of the Monday Night Live class. Hope you're getting a lot out of it. I'm sure you will. I wanted to let you know that, you can come to Monday Night Live whenever you want, but you can also participate more with the team. Why don't you set up a call with me, a one-on-one strategy call? I can go over everything with you, show you everything that we have to offer. For example, did you know that on our team, not only do you get your leads, we actually give you your own account on our lead gen system. So this puts you in control. You're not waiting on somebody to hand you leads. You get to pick the ones you want. Okay. Huge difference. We have 21 of our own proprietary marketing campaigns. They're all copyright protected. We're the only ones that can use them. Okay. The coaching is absolutely one-on-one. We got 3 coaches. We even have a 4th success coach that we have access to. Okay. One of left fewer than 100 in the world. Okay. One-on-one coaching. Right now the big problem is volume. We need more transactions. We need more inventory. I get it. Well, we know how to get it. Our team actually outproduces the national average by more than 2 to 1. So if you're struggling, don't do that anymore. If you're a solo agent, if you're a team, let's just talk. Smart entrepreneurs are always open to discussion. Learn what we have to offer, and then you can make an informed decision about staying where you are or moving on. You got to decide, if you're not where you want to be, you've got to take action to get where you want to be. Let's see how we can help you do that. I look forward to talking to you. Click on the link, set up a call. And by the way, I'll see you on the next Monday Night Live.
And I just want to thank everybody for their attention, and I hope this was a valuable session for you.
Yeah, that was awesome. I appreciate you sharing the way you shared. I mean, real life experiences, and it's just, I don't know if I could say anything that's going to add more value to that, but I want to encourage everybody here, to either form a group or join a group. But I think you should have at least a couple of groups that you're involved in. One could be professional, business oriented, and one could be more personal, lifestyle, fun. But do it because it's healthy for you to do that. It's good to be around other human beings and share something that you have in common. Support each other. In the business part of it, every person who's business minded is going to think instinctually, how can they help you? How can they serve you? They know what you do, and one of the best ways to make sure they know what you do is to hang around with them in groups. So, any case,
Well, Gary,
yeah.
and thank you so much for the opportunity to share tonight.
Hey, so if people want to get a hold of you or seek you out, the book obviously is one place, but a website, anything like that, or a Facebook page?
If you can get the book on Amazon, that's the best place, and it is on Audible as well through Amazon.
Okay.
But if you want to reach me, my link tree is Beach Money. So if you just go to Linktree / Beach Money, linktr.ee / Beach Money. Linktree, the Linktree website / Beach Money, and that connects to me. Yep. Yeah.
I'll make sure that goes out in the after class email to go out tomorrow from Sugar as well. So we'd rather share the love and give back and help spread the word about you and your message.
Thank you so much.
Before you go,
George, thanks for putting us together. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you. And before you go, Jordan, and I'll go as well. Gary, that will be sent out to a bunch of people, the replay.
Yeah, it actually goes out in email to over 700 people, but also this goes out on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. We cut it up in shorts and reels for Instagram, TikTok, and even back on Facebook for the shorts and reels there. So it gets in your tag. So Jordan, you'll be tagged in that.
Fantastic.
So it is multiple layers. Yeah. Hey guys, stick around. If you guys hang around for a minute, I want to have you meet Tatiana too. Some of you know her because she's been in class before, about her personal experience with her own group she created up in Massachusetts. So Jordan, thanks again. And George, you're welcome to stick around too. And thanks for bringing Jordan, by the way. That was a great class tonight, man, I tell you. So yeah. But hey, Tatiana, if you wouldn't mind, unmute yourself. I just want people to hear your story, what you've done up in Worcester, because it's closer to home. The folks here in this group, some of you already know, you've met before, but I love when you told me about this a few months ago, because it reminded me of me 20 some odd years ago when I decided to create my own investor group in a local library. A whopping 6 people showed up. I thought this is a failure. I told my broker the next day, I said, man, I just completely wasted people's time. He said, just listen. He said, keep doing it. It's going to grow. You just planted the seed last night. That's all you did was plant the seed. He said, did you ask them to bring somebody the next time? I said, yeah. And sure enough, the next time, some people brought friends, some people didn't. Well, let me tell you guys, by the end of that year, we had grown to 200 people. When we got to 75 people, the librarian came up. She said, you can't meet here anymore. And I said, did something go wrong? Did we abuse our ability? She said, no. Our capacity is 75 people. You hit it tonight. And that was about three months in. So just listen to Tatiana. Tatiana, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit, that'd be great, you know?
Okay, thank you. I'll try. Actually, I wanted to mention something about the Jordan's presentations.
Mhm.
The way he showed that every person brings him, even if he doesn't give him business, still brings him like 2000, right? Because of the other connections. So, and this gives you idea. So you don't think that, well, how much I can spend to give this person a gift, right? So it's kind of expensive. But if you think about that, eventually it will bring you to thousands. So it's like, oh, okay, now I can actually give because it's not that expensive because I will get back.
Yeah,
So it's interesting perspective, how to look at.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, well, I've been in real estate for 20 years, and now I feel like have more to give. So, and I decided to start my own group. And last summer, I think our first meeting was in July. So we rented a classroom in a private school. So during daytime at school and at night we meet once. Well, right now it once a month after school. And like you said, so the first meeting is like 5 people. So and then it started growing. Still, we don't have too many coming actually. Also, winter was very harsh this
Oh,
winter.
yeah.
So, but we have like probably core group which is really active and participate like probably around like 20 people. But we have like database people who actually interested like right now it's about 400, I think. Yeah, close to 400. So and we do at first I was doing primarily doing presentation about different topics of real estate.
Mhm.
Then I started actually getting involved other members.
Mhm.
Like actually this Wednesday we have meeting, and I asked one of the members who has houses in different states to do presentation about how to invest in other states. Well, right now it's primarily in Massachusetts, focused on Massachusetts, but we actually plan to expand and do meetings online like this, Zoom meetings, not just in person. So and another thing, actually, we met one meeting. We did a cash flow game, Kiyosaki cash
Great.
flow game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and people love it. So they asked me to set another time, like once a month. Like so, we're going to meet every other week. So and every other week we will be playing cash flow game.
Mhm. That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
So
I stopped playing when my kids started beating me. That's well, I tell you what, if you don't mind, I do have a suggestion or two.
uh-huh.
Um, what you're experiencing, yes, the wintertime will definitely dampen anything you do live because at nighttime, people don't want to go out in the car when it's 7 below 0. They want to just stay home and
Yes.
stay warm. But give them something to think about in the future. Always have something going on in the future. So you could say, hey guys, we're gonna do a live event in April once the flowers start blooming and something like do it, rent out a picnic space at a local, county park or something, or even a place that has an outdoor venue. Um, and they'll be glad to let you have space there, right? As long as you bring in 20 people, we're all going to buy hors d'oeuvres and a drink or something. But something like give them something to think about a few months down the road when it's not so cold and the sun's coming out. Let them plan for it. Let them tell them, invite your family, friends, neighbors, guests, things like that. But that's one thing to do. Always encourage them to bring somebody with them and share with their neighbors and friends and colleagues and things like that. And then another thing is the gift giving. Um, Definitely, maybe once a month, thank them for coming and participating. But also a book like Jordan's book, I can tell right now, I'm going to get the book. I mean, the guy's obviously successful at what he does, and you can just tell he's gotten into the mindset of being instinctive about his speech and his behavior, and who he's speaking with, because everybody's a potential new friend, colleague, business relationship. You don't know until you make the effort. That's just one of the beautiful things about life is it feels like you have friends everywhere. That's what it feels like, you know. And to me, you can't put a price tag on that. But and people are more inclined to help you out, by the way, when they feel connected to you and you're coming from contribution. If you lead with contribution, things like education, there's an applied element of trust there. You've got their best interests in mind. So you got a great start. If you want to set up a one-on-one with me, Tatiana, you got the link. Just set it up, and we'll dig into my archives and my notes on this subject. We have a whole plan for doing workshops on our team website. So it's all documented, video recordings, instructions, written instructions,
Yes,
things you
that's
can
what
do.
we record meetings and put it on the website. So we have,
Yeah,
well, like, by
yeah.
the way, my group is called Ryuba. You see on my screen, on my background.
Okay.
It's
RUWBA. Okay.
Real Estate Wealth Builders Association.
Okay. I
So,
like it. Mm,
so it's not just real estate. It's also how to use money, how to uh,
yeah.
like retirement, for example. So it's
Yeah.
about building the wealth. Yeah. So
Yeah. You know what? Do you ever see Dr. Jarbo? Ever get to see him at all in the Market Center anymore? Or is that Justin Jarbo?
no.
He was in your Market Center, yeah. Maybe he's not anymore, but he's a great investor up there. He would
Hmm.
probably be happy to come and speak to your group.
Hmm.
I'll reach out to him. We'll give him a call, or maybe tomorrow I can give him a call. I'll be on the road.
Hmm.
So,
And since thank you, Gary. Actually, that's you are an example of that. You know. Deep commitment as what Jordan was talking about, because I
mhm.
met you like I don't know 15 years ago, maybe even more,
Probably.
18 probably years ago, when you came to with the presentation to Keller Williams, and
Mhm.
you always stay kind of in touch, you
Mhm.
always send something. So that's why when I heard from you again, so I just
Yeah.
wanted to speak to you. So I still I remembered you from that. So because you're always in contact. So and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. And I haven't aged a bit, have I?
mhm. Yeah.
I'm just teasing. No,
So
well, I'll tell you what, I've always enjoyed, teaching you, getting to know you, and I really appreciate you willing to jump in and participate. So guys, do you have any questions, for Tatiana? Like, what did she do how did she get the space to rent? How did she get the first 5 people there? That kind of thing. I mean, those are the things that if you understand the beginning efforts really are just grassroots, guerrilla marketing type stuff, literally, person to person meeting, and that's really where it starts. Just make the commitment to do it and keep up with it. I'm telling you, don't ever give up. That's the biggest lesson I learned from that first broker of mine. He's the one who encouraged me. It's just because you're learning. When you do something for the first time, you're not going to get it all right the first time or the second time or the third time. Gradually, you get better at it, and it starts to show. I'm not the most confident person in the world in a lot of ways, areas of life, but this is one area I'm really confident in. But it's only because I've done it 10,000 or more times. You know, so just keep that in mind. I mean, most, the book, The Secret. You guys remember that
mm,
book, The Secret? Well, I met the guy that published it. He's an old Boy Scout, and he wrote his first book was on being an Eagle Scout. And he said, Gary, that was 26 years ago. He said, people think I'm an overnight success because I published the book, The Secret. He said, I've been in business for 26 years. I finally published one that everybody mass market wanted to read. And here I am. And he was already in his 70s at the time. It was an awesome story. You know what I mean? It just reminded me that everybody like Jordan, I mean, I consider myself just a regular person. I'm sure Tatiana feels the same way. She's just a regular person. I bet you Jordan, if you talk to him personally, he would say, I really am. I'm just a regular person. He's just stuck with the thing that he did and did it 10,000 times, you know? So, yeah. Okay. You guys like that class tonight? Yeah, it was
Yeah,
good.
thank
And
you.
Tatiana, sharing your personal experience. I mean, to me, that's closer to home for everybody here. And you guys, your PF is up in Boston, Tatiana. You guys aren't that far away from each other, you know? So probably was it, like an hour?
Oh, Boston.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm not in Worcester anymore.
No, you're not. You're
Yeah,
kidding.
our meetings in here, not West, in Wellesley. Oh, no, not Wellesley. What? Waltham. So,
Okay.
you know
You're
Waltham.
welcome, even closer.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, and I'm most of my business now in Boston, actually, in Brighton.
Nice. Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you guys might be able to support each other. You know, if one of you go on vacation, the other one can back you up and things like that. You know, there's nothing wrong. I used to do that. When I first started, guys, there was about four of us that got together and we were on different companies. But we knew each other because we were investors. We decided, let's just work together. And we did. Anybody that was in east of Pittsburgh, he got those deals. Everybody was north, I got them. Somebody was in the south, got those. So we shared. We didn't think anything was unusual about that. We just thought it made sense. And boy, I tell you what, the investors sure like that. Let me tell you. You know, we never, that type of behavior, it was so out of the ordinary for most agents are so competitive and almost primal and like trying to not sharing and not just I don't understand that at all, but we made a fortune doing that, you know. So in any case, you know how I am, guys. If you let me, I'll keep blabbing away. So let's go ahead and call this a wrap. And Tatiana, I really do mean it. Set up a call with me when I won't be available the next 3 days, but just set up a call with me. I'm happy to go through the workshop material with you and help you build that out more, you know.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
yeah. All right, guys. Have a wonderful night. And if you need anything from me, I will be able to be reached by phone tomorrow afternoon and then all day on Thursday. Wednesday is going to be family time in South Carolina. But keep that in mind. You're welcome to call me anytime, text. And Friday will be back in business as normal, you know. So, okay. You guys have a wonderful night. Thanks again, Tatiana.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for watching Monday Night Live. Consider subscribing. Agents, want to learn more? Schedule a call with Gary using the link in the description.